Have you ever heard of the storytelling framework called the hero's journey? It's a way of understanding the structure that underlies stories. It's very powerful because it gives us a way of looking at the events and scenarios that take place, whether it's a novel that you're reading or a movie that you're watching, or you're observing some person's life from afar. It gives us a language to describe all of that. It's not perfect, but it's useful because it gives you and I a way of thinking about the many, many stories that we come across in our story-soaked culture. First up, there's a heroine or a hero, the protagonist of the story, as they call it. The cool thing is at the start, this person can be anyone. They're a normal person. A normal life is going on for this person. All the daily routines, the rhythms, the grinds, the stresses and the anxieties and the fun and the laughter and the friendships, all of that. But if you're watching a film or reading a book, hearing a story, you know that normal life is not going to go on very long for the simple reason that you're going to get bored fast. Something always happens. The heroine has a problem. Something goes down. Something unexpected occurs. This event disrupts the status quo. It makes it so that there's a clear break between the past and that neither the present nor the future can ever be the same again. This destabilizing event is laying the foundation for the development of the story. During this time, the heroine meets a guide. The guide is some wise or smart figure who comes and brings a broader perspective and a different way of seeing into the equation. The thing is, the heroine needs to take some action because the events that have transpired, the things that have happened, are calling out for a response. The question is what to do. What do you actually do in that circumstance? Now, the role of the guide in the hero's journey is to give a plan. Having a plan, even if it's a hard and a scary one, is way better than not having any plan. But the reality is that often the plan that the guide gives you is not actually something you want to do. The heroine is in a difficult place now. Something has happened and she cannot go back from that. The past is gone. Things are different now. She cannot go back. She has to change and move forward. She cannot stay where she is. But on the other hand, this guide comes along with some special plan, some idea of what's meant to happen, and it's just blatantly hard. It's not going to be fun. She doesn't even know she has what it takes to do it. At this point in the story, remember, the heroine does not think of herself as a heroine. She does not know that she's a character in the hero's journey and that she's destined for greatness potentially. She's just been living ordinary life, and then something went down and things hit the fan. The guide, at this point, plays another critical role. Having given a plan, the guide now has to call her to action. To call her to action. A certain amount of forceful encouragement might be needed at this point to really get her going. She might not know that she has what it takes. She might be doubting the plan. She might be doubting the call to action. But the guide knows that things have changed. Life is different now, and somebody needs to do something. And the guide knows that that somebody is the heroine. And so the guide uses whatever powers of persuasion and skill they have available to them to embolden, to awaken, to activate this heroine. And the guide sends her out into the dangerous and daring pathway of adventure that you and I, as readers and listeners and watchers of stories, love to experience. And to cut a long story short, the resulting adventure has everything going on. Twists and turns, enemies and allies, many dangers and hardships. And the heroine many times will wish that they could just go back to the beginning before all of the trouble, that they could just go home. Yet the thing that keeps us going as we're reading, watching, listening that keeps us interested in this story is that we don't know how this is going to end. We don't know where it's going. Is this going to be a happy ending or is it going to be a tragic one? What's going to happen to this person? That tension keeps us interested all the way to the final bell. I love this hero's journey idea, and I think it applies to every one of us. You are the protagonist in this particular version of history that we call your story. And right there at the beginning, we find ourselves in ordinary life, doing ordinary life things with the hustle and bustle of daily living. And sometimes you might wish that that was all there was to it, that you could just go on with living. But a problem is going to arrive on your doorstep. Something is going to happen in your life that is going to disrupt the status quo. There's going to be an inciting incident on this adventure, as the storytellers like to put it. When that happens, when this event happens that redefines your reality, you will find that there is no going back. Just as every hero faces a pivotal moment that defines their path, we too encounter moments where our faith is tested and our purpose is refined. And let me tell you what the guide knows. There is no exit. The only way is forward. Once life gets real, all you can do, what you must do, is face up to fear and move toward the danger and the risk of real life. Someone needs to take action, and that someone is you. But what are you going to do? What plan have you got that's good enough to survive and get you through the hectic life adventure that you've been cast out upon? For a good plan, we need a guide. Let me introduce you. Jesus is my proposed guide. So let's drop back to first century Palestine and see what plan Jesus has, what plan he lays out. What plan does this guide have to offer to us on our journeys? Verse 16. When he came to Nazareth where he had been brought up, he went to the synagogue on the Sabbath day as was his custom. He stood up to read, and the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, and to let the oppressed go free." And he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. The eyes of all in the synagogue were fixed on him. Then he began to say to them, "Today this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing." Jesus comes and begins his ministry with passion, a passion for people, a passion for a different kind of world. This is a call to that deepest part of you that has ever longed for something more to live for, a quest worthy of all of your passion, a quest worthy of the life to which you have been called. The adventure is waiting, and the guide is laying out a plan for the kind of adventure that we could embark upon. It's the plan of attack and call to action that will take you and I away from the dissatisfaction of a life half-lived and catapult us into the adventure of a lifetime. So if Jesus is the guide and you are the hero, what does this plan accomplish? It's nothing less than an invitation to go out into the world, to face up against the injustices and struggles we see all around us with creativity and courage. It's nothing less than living your life in service of a greater mission, a worthy quest on behalf of others and for a big win for all people. Drawing out the deepest parts of you, the parts that make you want to come alive. A quest that draws out your courage, a quest that draws out your passion, a quest that makes you face fear but to move through it and move past it. And this is a call to move away from the fear of action, away from the fear of making a difference, and toward a passion for people, a passion for a different kind of world. Embarking upon this quest means you've got a destination in sight, and that destination is the way of Jesus. It's a whole new kingdom. He is the guide we've been looking for. He's the one we need on this day to make sense of the story that we're in. He's the one to take us from where things were to where things are going. He's the one with the plan that is worthy of all of our energies and passion, and which will awaken us into living the stories of our lives as fully and passionately and as powerfully as possible. The call to take up a worthy cause and aim yourself at a challenging task is the heart of the hero's journey. Jesus' vision of a different world is exactly the kind of fuel that heroines and heroes of this day and age need. There is no doubt that there is, in Jesus' message, a deep sense of passion for people and the need for justice in this world. You and I are called to be agents of change. That's what we get to participate in if we take this as the plan of attack. Not living here in dissatisfaction, not living here in a life half-lived, but casting out into the unknown, daring to believe that there is a different world out there and that we could help shape it. The thing about adventure is that it takes us and points us to that which is most worthy. It's not just overcoming what was, but it's heading towards something which ought to be. It pulls us into a way of life that we want. We want the victory at the end. We want the happy ending. We want the achievement. You don't want to live a boring and mundane life, do you? I don't, and I'm pretty sure you don't either. So I hope that you find that Jesus is a good guide and the right guide at the right time for you. And I hope that you find that your life is a story worth living, that what was is not definitive, that what is to come is worth pressing into, and that this would be the adventure of a lifetime.